In the first week, we talked about scarcity very generally, and actually one of the observations that the abundance of fossil fuel gives the first challenge to sustainability was one of the observations that really troubled me. And to a certain degree, it still is a big source of worry for me. To underline that what we consider scarce has changed considerably over the past decades. Then, in the second week, we looked into the classical, neoclassical market failures of externalities and public goods. And we continued on this theme when exploring different aspects of carbon pricing, where we compared the tools of Pigouvian taxes, economic taxation with cap and trade. One of the aspects that I forgot to mention in this comparison is that taxes are slightly easier to integrate with other climate policy than cap and trade measures. So the reasoning here is as follows, that say we already have a cap and trade type of mechanism in place. So let's say like we have in Europe, the ETS. Then this means that it is more difficult to introduce more stringent climate policy at the lower governance level, so say at the national level. Because by introducing more stringent climate policy at the national level, all you achieve under this cap and trade is a displacement of emissions. This is also known as a sort of waterbed effect. In the third week, we also talked about the public acceptability of carbon pricing. Week 4, we looked into the valuation of ecosystem services, where you may remember that I had some troubles in explaining how to rule. And this, well, here you can see it in a 2-period model. You can check it yourself. Like really not that difficult. But so what does the Hotelling rule say? That if the interest rate or the discount rate goes up, that means that the future is valued less, so that there is more extraction going on in the present, meaning that there is less to extract in the future, meaning that there is a more steep price schedule than if the interest rate is lower. Sure, I did it correct once now, so I guess I can. The interest rate or discount rate, social discount rate, is important for this Hotelling rule, because it determines how the mine owner values the future as compared to the present. So with a higher discount rate, the future becomes less valuable, meaning that you extract more today as a mine owner. And if there's more of an extraction today, meaning that there is less to extract in the future, then the price of these resources in the future will be higher. So we are facing a more steep price profile in case the discount rate is higher. You're welcome. A brief link with respect to the valuation of ecosystems and mental health. So you may want to look at a paper by Buckley et al. That use the influences of protected areas on mental health to provide an estimate for the value of protected areas, where they relate influences on mental health to a measure of quality adjusted life years, and also to correlations with actual cost parameters such as absenteeism or healthcare costs. And in this way, they estimate that the value of protected areas to the benefits of mental health actually outweigh the conservation budgets by an order of magnitude. Last week, we talked about the desirability and feasibility of economic growth or green growth, where we also talked a little bit about donut economics. Last week, I said it was a shame that it wasn't called LP record economics, but perhaps it's a shame that it wasn't called butterfly economics. I hadn't seen this figure last week yet. Ray wrote a representation of how to move from a linear economy that resembles more the caterpillar in that it is only taking and consuming and leading to waste. But once these cycles are included for the reuse of materials, then the economy becomes like a butterfly. This is where you can keep in touch with my progress on environmental economics. A few closing words in relation to your essay. So while I did really like the Consuelo and Ellis paper, there are also some things that I think you should not copy for your essay. For example, the authors discuss part of the related literature in the reference list. Don't do this, please. So keep the reference list exclusively for references. And also, please don't use reference stuffing. So the references that you include only count towards your additional reference requirements when you say something about these references, other than list them together jointly. This was what I prepared for today. Let's have a brief break and then additional questions after the break.